So I've just returned from 3 weeks travelling as CIMA President to Australia, New Zealand, Singapore and Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And I have to say it's been a fantastic experience and a real privilege. I need to thank my wife who took 3 weeks off work to come with me and accompany me on the trip, and indeed my employer Serco for giving me time off to go and visit these very important branches and parts of the world. As President with a full-time job, I've not had the chance to travel to the same extent perhaps as my predecessors, but actually when I do, I pick up so much useful information to bring back to CIMA and Council, and indeed can tell the branches directly how well I believe we and their institute are doing. We arrived in Perth. Actually it was a public holiday in Western Australia. Despite that, a fantastic turnout from members there. It's not every day a president does get to Perth. We went on the following morning then to Adelaide, South Australia, and again they'd had an annual members meeting and then a reception, a cocktail reception, and it was excellent to meet CIMA members there. On to Melbourne the following day. You can get the sense of how grueling this might be. Again, an excellent reception with members, and then on to Canberra and then up to Sydney. In Canberra, I actually spent time, the theme of my tour was the public sector, time with Directors General, Finance Directors and the head of the finance profession in the Australian government, hosted a lunch and reception for a number of senior finance people in government departments, and they were extremely interested to hear about CIMA, the Global Management Accounting Principles. And then when we hopped over to New Zealand at the beginning of the following week, equally I hosted a lunch there where, if anything, there was even greater support and interest in our management accounting principles and the way which CIMA can help improve financial management in all levels of government within New Zealand. We then popped up to Auckland. Again, you know, these are all very distinctive, very supportive branches. We had an excellent meeting there before popping across to Brisbane, and again, a fantastic event. The largest meeting, I have to say, was in Sydney, in Australia, but then from that, and that was the end of a second grueling week, my wife and I travelled up to Singapore. It's essential the President goes to Singapore because it's now the centre of a convocation, if you like, awarding the CIMA degree, equivalent of course to a master's degree, to a number of members, recognising people that have become fellows and indeed awarding prizes to prize winners. The really interesting and surprising thing though for members in Singapore was that I signed a memorandum of agreement, an MOA, with the Institute of Singaporean Chartered Accountants. That went down extremely well and just shows how well we are consolidating in that market. The big event of the whole trip though was the next one in Kuala Lumpur, where again the presidential visit is the centre of their annual year, with a similar prize-giving ceremony, the annual convocation. There were over 500 guests at the reception there. I did do a number of other things both in Singapore and Kuala Lumpur with visits, and I have to say one of the ones that is particularly significant is that I went to pay my respects on behalf of Council and to offer our condolences to the widow of our first member, our first CIMA member in Malaysia, Dato Engku, and indeed CIMA owes a great debt of gratitude to Engku and indeed all the work he did in establishing our presence in Malaysia and as a result of that the rest of Southeast Asia. So that may sound a little bit like a travel log. It was a fantastic and very rewarding 3 weeks. I brought a lot of that back to Council today and have already shared many of my experiences and learnings with colleagues here. I need to just say thank you to all the staff in the region that looked after me and made the visit such a fantastic success. And indeed, I've commended similar trips and locations to Miriam when she becomes my successor in a few months' time. Thank you.